They are back. It's time for Red America Radio. Straight up conservative talk for today's red-blooded America. With the host of Behind the Headlines, TV's Karyn Turk and Dr. Chris Metzler, political commentator and best-selling author. Making radio great again. Red America Radio.
And we're back.
We're back. Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? We're back and we're live, and Red America Radio is back on the air. I can't believe it. And we're making radio great again with Dr. Chris Metzler.
And of course, the always gorgeous Karyn Turk.
Thank you so much. I'm all about the compliments. It's nice to be here on a Monday night here in sunny South Florida, where it's been raining most of today, but that hurricane was a lot of nothing.
Oh my God, much to do about nothing. That's all that was.
Much to do about nothing seems to be the theme in the media these days.
Oh, yes, it does. In the media and in politics.
Absolutely.
Much to do about nothing. So, what's up with the Democrats?
Where do we even begin?
That's a long, that's an open-ended question. But what I'm trying to figure out is, why are we not able to get something done on this relief package? What the heck? Nancy, seriously? Is it because your refrigerator costs so much you'd rather go eat ice cream than get everything done?
I think they don't want to do anything that's going to help your average American. They're out of touch with reality. They're not going to do anything that's going to help the common American, people like me and you,
Yes.
the people that they're supposed to serve. You know, and where they're really doing an injustice is to the Democrats, the people that are actually going to vote for them. Those are the people that are actually being misled right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the folks who are being misled. Unfortunately, though, those folks who are being misled seem to keep putting them back in office over and over again. Seems to me that they're voting against their own self-interest. There's that.
There is that. I actually am going to make a prediction tonight. I think that things are going to shift in 2020. I actually think with the amount of Americans that I talk to on a daily basis being down here, especially being here in a blue county of Palm Beach County,
Yes.
I actually think there's going to be a big shift. And I think we're going to win by a landslide. I think Donald Trump has us in the bag.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think and there are so many things that are going on here that people don't know. I mean, the conversations I'm having with people, they're like, okay, so Joe who? When's he going to get out of the basement? Interestingly, he's gotten the advice, don't you dare debate Donald Trump. I don't expect to see a debate.
No, he's hiding Biden. He's not going to debate. If they have him debate, they're definitely going to lose. They know that the minute that he shows his face and the minute that he opens his mouth, the few voters that they still have left that might actually vote for Biden, and a lot of them come on my Facebook page, so shout out to all my Democratic friends that come on my page and talk about the fact that they're going to vote for this candidate. I think that they're actually going to lose if they have him speak any more than he has.
Well, and speaking of lose, so here is the conversation. The conversation now is about the vice presidential candidate. Here's the thing that's so interesting to me. All of a sudden now, the narrative is changing. The narrative is, and Representative Clyburn said that, and Joe Biden is also picking up on it. Well, we don't know about a black woman as vice president. It's more important to have a black woman on the Supreme Court. So is there only one black position in the administration?
I have a real issue with this. I have a real issue with them picking a candidate strictly based on race. I feel like that is racist in itself.
Absolutely.
It's really a problem. And people who don't see that need to open up their eyes, because there's something very seriously wrong with us saying, you know what, he's going to pick a woman and it's going to be a black woman. And everyone has known this from the beginning. But since when do we not pick a candidate based on their ability to do the job? When has it become a culture where we just say, you know what, we have to go ahead and pick the person based on race and gender.
Well, and that's the thing, because knowing that he was losing so badly, he essentially pandered and said, I am definitely going to pick a woman. And
do you think he said that, or the people who are pulling his puppet strings said that?
Well,
who actually said that, Chris?
Yeah, the people pulling the puppet strings, because and I think all of America should know this. Should Biden, by some miracle, win, be prepared for another Obama administration, because that's what you're going to get.
So do you think, who is the puppeteer behind Joe Biden? Because obviously it's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden can't speak. He has dementia. They are basically stringing up this elderly man. And really, I think it's elder abuse. I just think the whole thing's wrong.
Right.
On every level.
So it is Jill Biden. Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Jill Biden, who, by the way, is a PhD. And you remember Whoopi Goldberg said she thinks she would be a good Surgeon General. Okay. So there is Joe Biden.
Okay.
There is his sister. There's Valerie Jarrett, and there's Michelle Obama. That's the emperor behind the scenes. That's who's pulling this.
So where's Oprah Winfrey in all this?
Well, Oprah's there.
Oprah's there. See, I feel like it's the billionaires that are strictly pulling all of the strings in the Democrats. And all the episodes that I do on Behind the Headlines, I delve really deep into today's headlines and these stories on YouTube. And it's always comes back to this billionaires club. It always comes back to these players.
Well, and if you look at now with the candidates, all of this talk now about Kamala Harris, here's the problem that Kamala has. The guy who owns Morgan & Morgan, the big law firm, big Democratic donor, doesn't like her. Chris Dodd doesn't like her. And so her prospects are going down. That leaves you with Karen Bass. Oh, I'm sorry. She of Castro's sympathizing
I was just
fame.
going to go there. I was waiting for it. I mean, how do we even have a communist vice president? How is this a thing?
Well, and that's the thing. And here's the other part of this. I mean, he is already breaking the first rule of selecting a vice president, which is you don't want any surprises. You mean to tell me that they're just finding out about this? What kind of vetting is going on here?
There's no vetting going on. And what I'm really surprised at is I actually feel bad for moderate Democrats.
Yes.
I actually feel bad for the people that are out there that feel that they're Democrats, that identify with that party, that maybe are Kennedy Democrats, or are even going back even to the first Obama administration.
Yeah.
The people that voted for Obama back then, they are now getting something that they didn't sign up for. They're getting communism and socialism, the two things that took down so much of Europe in World War II. And we're not that far removed from that. And I got a lot of flack this week because I posted something on my Facebook page where I talked about, COVID and the masks and the hype, and that we're not that far from a socialist regime and the Nazis, and what happened to my parents in Austria, and people, they went nuts.
Well, yeah, and because I don't think people are paying enough attention to what the facts are relative to COVID and the mask and all of those kinds of things. Because, in fact, for small business owners in particular, there's a lot going on in terms of losing your business. There's also the giants like Lord & Taylor filing bankruptcy. If people don't understand that the economy is tanking, then they are really not.
So can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about the fact that, I don't know if you saw this story today, but today I was actually watching Glenn Beck around 2 o'clock. And around 2 o'clock, there was a 70-year-old woman who's facing jail time. She's from Apache Junction, and she's charged with violating the COVID-19 order. Her name's Deborah Worrell, and it's Lucky Strikes is the name of the business. There's a GoFundMe, by the way. You can help this woman. But she opened in April for takeout in the parking lot. And she has thousands of dollars in fines that she can't afford to pay, and she's being charged. And the mayor actually had approved her doing this, had said that this is okay, but the police went after her anyway. And then today the mayor says, quote, maybe she went too far with the speakers set up to play music.
Oh, give me a break.
Like,
the
what is this? Like, it reminded me of like Footloose, where you can't play music. Remember that movie? Like, I said to myself, is this actually happening? Is this America? And you could go back to New Jersey and those gym owners, and Governor Murphy, had shut them down. They actually kicked down the barricades. There was a story on Fox News about this. Kicked down the barricades and said, you will not trample our rights. You will not destroy our lives. And I think there are a lot of American businesses that are going to fight back against this, because this is really going too far at this point.
Well, it is going too far. And every time I say this, people say to me, so you just want people to die. No, that's not the issue. I mean, certainly you can do this within reason. And as it relates to the 70-year-old woman, she already got approval by the same mayor who now says maybe the music is too loud. Dude, seriously?
It's bad. And, obviously somebody now is in his ear saying, you have to take action. You have to do this. And the thing that we have that's really a problem is these governors and these mayors end up caving.
Yes.
They end up caving to the pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure that's coming down from, I want to say, the billionaire Democrats behind the scenes. And they're not even Democrats. They're globalists. They're globalists and socialists. It's no longer the Democratic Party.
Right. And that's the thing. And so it leads me to the conversation about the vaccine. I'm sorry, since when is Bill Gates a medical doctor? And all this conversation, look, I don't give a darn about this so-called vaccine. I will not be taking that vaccine. And when we talk about vaccine, people get confused. They talk about vaccine as if it's a cure. It's not a cure. We have the flu vaccine, and people still die from it every year. But what folks don't understand, when you're talking about a vaccine, you're talking about actually injecting the virus into your body. So there's that.
I'm going to start coughing even thinking about this. I'm going to start,
exactly.
I can't.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that ends up happening, and I think people really ought to pay attention. The problem, I think, with this whole COVID thing is that it has become so politicized that rather than dealing with issues of health, the economy, and safety, we're dealing with issues of politics. And as a result of that, we know what happens whenever you deal with issues of politics, never ends well.
And, Public Enemy, and I know he's not on my side of this aisle, Flava Flav, but, Public Enemy had this song, Don't Believe the Hype.
Right.
And I'm listening to the lyrics of that song the other day, and I'm saying to myself, this is now.
Yeah.
This is our present state of affairs. This is the mainstream media. This is what's happening. And a lot of America has woken up, but we still have a lot of people that are pretty much asleep, or they're napping right now.
Well, and they are napping. And in fact, when you look at, you just consistently look at the headlines, and you look at the deaths, the number of deaths supposedly, and the reporting, and you look at all of that stuff. Here's the problem I have with that. I want the media to, and I know it's way too late for this now, but actually just simply report the facts. I don't need your personality. I could care less about your celebrity. What I want you to tell me is, what are the facts? I can decide on my own damn own what is factual and what's not. I'll make my own opinion. But what's happening is they're giving us their opinion, which they then want to be our opinion, and too many of us are falling for that.
Too many of us. I know you're not falling for that. I'm
no.
not falling for that. But I feel like I need to wake other people up.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to shake people, and I need to just wake them up every day on social media. I find myself engaging with people that seem to be completely out of touch with reality.
Yeah, and that's the main part of this. So then we end up with these so-called conversations that really aren't conversations. They're just opinions. And if you listen to a lot of those so-called conversations, what happens? Well, what happens is they are simply repeating what the media has said and what the personalities in the media have said. There is really no journalism anymore in America. It is instead just, a shit show of. Oops.
Wasn't me this time. That's the good news.
of so-called journalists who are simply giving us their opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's opinion journalism. I mean, I'm an opinion journalist, but
Yeah,
at least
and
I'm
that's
open
fine.
about it. I'm honest about it. Hey, I'm giving you my opinion. This is what I'm doing.
Right.
But it goes beyond that to where, when I was growing up or when you were growing up, we could trust the mainstream
Yeah.
media. That is no longer something that's possible.
Red America Radio continues right now.
For too long in Palm Beach County, there's been an establishment of Republicans that don't work for you. This primary election on August 18th, make your vote count. Turk will work as state committee man. Vote Evan Turk for state committee man on August 18th. Make your vote count.
Divided We Stand. The Search for America's Soul is the most important book of our time. Best-selling author Dr. Christopher Metzler answers, "What the heck is going on, America?" Divided We Stand is a funny, fast-paced, razor-sharp, savvy critique of the state of our union and the disastrous reign of Barack Obama. Political lion slayer, red-blooded conservative Dr. Metzler offers inspiration and a positive message to America. The way to fight back and win is principle, conviction, and a wicked sense of humor.
In the days of clickbait news and salacious eyeball-popping headlines, you must delve behind the headlines. Things can get so murky on the internet that it's hard to see. Behind the Headlines TV on YouTube delves deep to fully expose the real truth. Each episode, Karyn Turk wades through the swampy news in thigh-high boots, breaking facts down into bite-sized pieces. Subscribe to Behind the Headlines TV to see her dominate YouTube with real facts behind today's biggest stories.
Red America Radio continues right now.
When somebody says to me that they watch CNN, I immediately know that they're completely out of their minds.
Well, yeah, and if you notice what's going on now, so the closer we get to the election, I believe starting on the 19th of this month, MSNBC is going to expand Nicole Wallace's show. She who was supposed to be a Republican, but I digress. They're going to expand her show to 2 hours. Chuck Todd now is going to expand the Meet the Press franchise to include digital and streaming, more media control from the left-wing perspective.
Well, and I think what most of America doesn't realize that, the media, whether it's, any of the major networks, they are all run by advertising. They are all controlled by the advertising that pays the bills, keeps the lights on, and keeps their station in business.
Correct.
And it's a business.
Yeah.
So when you look at, I just did an expose on Les Wexner from Victoria's Secret, and, we went behind the headlines on that. We talked about the Epstein case, and we talked about, the global billionaires that are running everything. He's one of them.
Yeah.
Why do you think the mainstream media doesn't want to report on him? Because they know that he has connections. Even though he's not the CEO anymore, don't you think that he's still pulling the strings? There's billions of dollars at stake.
Well, of course. And of course, he's pulling the strings because as the former CEO, he appointed a significant number of the members of the board who are his friends. And by the way, that's just how it works. So to pretend that media is this little enterprise trying to bring us journalism is just folly. All of the major networks are owned by giant corporate interests.
90%, 6 corporations. That's the statistic, folks.
There you go. And if you look at so-called media like Facebook, for example, again, controlled by the globalists. That's just that's how it goes. So folks need to understand that and then make your decisions accordingly.
And I mean, you look at Bill Gates. We talk about Bill Gates and his, his insertion in this whole COVID thing and his love of epidemics and his obsession with this that goes way back when. Is he a prophet? Is he some sort of a prophet now? Is he a doctor? Is he a prophet?
No.
What is he?
No.
He's using this for political play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not blaming him for the release of this. I think China's to blame. I think this is a Chinese virus. I think it leaked from a laboratory. I don't know all the specifics. But this was on his radar screen. He was waiting for this to happen. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to be hailed as the hero and to come out with the vaccine, who is now going to be, backed by Moderna, ironically, after, he basically said at CEPI in 2017, hey, we're going to go ahead at the World Economic Forum. He announced we're going to go ahead and start this initiative. And guess who was in it? Moderna was in it.
Of course they were.
How ironic.
Of course they were. And that's what people don't understand. Things like, for example, Davos. So all these folks are going to Davos. They're not going to Davos to just hang out.
Of course not.
They're going to Davos for purposes of deciding how they control the world.
How they control the world.
How that's divvied up, what the profits are, how that happens. That's the reason they go to Davos. So for anyone who thinks differently, you really need to read up on Davos.
Well, and I also want to bring this up. So what do you say to someone? Because I've had this situation just this week. I had somebody say to me, well, why not have a global economy? What's so bad about that?
Let's just look at the EU.
Right.
Okay. Let's just look at, because see, here's the problem. Part of the reason that the UK left is because of the fact that not only do you have a global economy, so to speak, in terms of dollars and cents, you also have control. They will tell you, you have to have open borders or you can no longer be a part of this economy. And that's what happened in large part. And that is why, if you look at Europe in particular, they have such a problem. On the streets of the UK, you hear people yelling about how racist, how vile, all of these things that the UK government is. Most of them came in through open borders. And then you also have control of your courts. You have the World Court. So they then get to usurp the Constitution of the United States. That's why you don't have a global economy. It's not simply about dollars and cents. It is about control, and it is about the globalist agenda. The globalist agenda is not good for America, never has been, never will be good for America.
It all is way crazy for me. I see it. I know it. When people say to me, what's wrong with that? I shake my head because I feel like, well, let's get back to the basics of America. What were we founded on? We were founded on the fact that we wanted to be an independent, free country.
Period.
That was, a constitutional republic for the reasons that we didn't want to be controlled by Britain.
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. We're going to go back to that now? Oh, that wasn't so bad?
Oh, please. But that's the big part of the problem. I think fundamentally, people simply don't understand history and they don't understand context.
Well, they're not going to understand history if we keep tearing down the statues.
Well, and there's the thing for me. So you're tearing down the statues. Okay, where do you stop? Do I go and say...
We don't stop. That's the problem, is we're going to end up being in a communist country if this does not stop, because it's not going to stop.
Yeah, and so... I go down the street and I see a statue of a legislator that I don't like or a president I don't like, then I should just be able to tear that down. Why not?
Absolutely.
So what are we just not going to have statues at all? Are we just simply going to put them in a museum? What are we going to do?
Well, the best thing that the president did is when he did his speech from Mount Rushmore and when he talked about this statue park that they're going to build.
Yes.
Did you watch
yes.
that? That was,
yes.
I think, one of my favorite parts of any speech that he's done in the past year. For me, that was just such a good blow to no, we're America. We're going to stand up for our history, because you want to know what? If we don't stand up for a history, we're doomed to repeat it.
Precisely. But I think people just seem to have forgotten that. And since they have forgotten that, they're getting into all of these meaningless discussions. They're also getting into, I think, just false equivalencies. And that's a major part of the problem as we move forward. And this election is extremely important. This, I think, is, in fact, the most consequential election, at least of my time. And I think it's going to be important to see how people how are they going to vote?
100%. Today, President Donald Trump's approval rating hit 51% on Monday, according to Rasmussen, and they're the only polls that I think are worth anything at this point. And the figure is 7 points higher than former President Barack Obama's approval rating on the same day in 2012. So I thought that was really good. I thought that was some good, real news. And the approval rating is up 1% from Friday and up 5% compared to Wednesday. So these have been the highest ratings in the last few days. So I think that's showing really where things are heading.
Yeah, and I think, for folks who are saying, the elections is over, it's way too early to talk about that. There's still time as we're moving forward for people to wake up and realize, of the two choices you have, which would you prefer?
So how many Biden flags have you seen? Because I've seen a lot of Trump flags. I haven't seen a single Biden flag. And I actually went online to see if they even sell Biden flags. And indeed, you can purchase a Biden flag. It's not too late.
Oh, that's okay.
It's not too late.
I'll pass.
I know, I'll pass too. But I got my "Don't Tread on Me" flag. That's my favorite flag.
I
like
love that
one. That's a classic.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
classic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
that's definitely the one that we have to look forward to.
And you go down here and I see, all of the boats, on the intercoastal, people flying their Trump flags. You see the boat parades, and then, the media gets up in a hype about, people congregating outside of COVID. But, that's just showing the fact that we have a strong support system here and that I feel like America is logical. So anybody listening to this, you are logical. Don't kid yourself. You are doing the right thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think part of this is, people being shamed into saying, yeah, I actually support Trump. I actually support, his policies. And, I think we really ought to examine his policies. And folks need to take a hard and fast look at the policies and then decide which is better.
Well, and there's no shame in our game here at Red America Radio. So we're going to be on here every single week live, 7:30 on Mondays, streaming to Facebook, streaming to Instagram. We have a podcast. We're everywhere you want to see us. Call us, email us, send us your questions. We want to cover and bring you the best conservative news for a red
America. Red-blooded America.
Yeah, and I'm going to get accused with the Red America yow. I'm going to get the communist comments again.
Of course you are.
Of course I am.
Red-blooded Americans. That's what we're...
Red-blooded Americans.
That's
who we are.
About.
That's who you are. Be proud of it. Stand up. Speak up. And Red America Radio will be coming at you next week, Monday, 7:30.
You have been listening to Red America Radio. Straight up conservative talk for today's red-blooded America.